Have you ever wondered why we spend almost our entire lives running away from pain, only to realize that pain itself is what shapes us into our truest selves? Maybe you've felt it, sitting in your car after a long, exhausting day, empty, drained, with nothing left inside. Or at 2 a.m., lying awake, staring at the ceiling, asking yourself, why did everything fall apart so fast? Or maybe you've been wearing the mask of, I'm fine for months, while deep down you know you're not fine at all. We grew up in a culture that tells us avoid pain. Don't feel it for too long. Buy something. Scroll your screen until the emptiness fades. Distract yourself until it doesn't hurt anymore. Everything around us says pain is the enemy. But what if the truth is different? What if the very thing you've been running from is actually the key that leads you back to your most authentic self? The Stoics said this over 2,000 years ago. Epictetus, once a slave beaten until his leg was broken, taught, it's not what happens to you that matters, but how you respond. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who buried his own children, wrote, the mind that seeks the good, even if it fails, is honored for the seeking. They weren't writing to impress. They were writing to remind themselves that suffering is not a sentence. It's a classroom. It's fire that forges. It's a door. So here's the real question for you today. Will you keep avoiding, or will you step through that door? Because here's the truth. Pain does not come to destroy you. It comes to remake you, to strip away the false layers, so you can meet the truer, deeper, stronger version of yourself. In this journey, we're going to explore 9 core lessons from Stoic philosophy and from real life itself about loss, failure, broken dreams, and those small, ordinary moments that carry the power to transform everything. Each part will be like a lantern illuminating the dark corners of your heart. And if you stay with me until the end, you may discover something profound. You were never broken. You were only opening. So let's begin. With one simple truth, powerful enough to change everything: pain is not the enemy. It is the teacher, and hardship is the tool that makes you grow. Have you ever wondered why some wounds never seem to heal, and yet from those very wounds you became stronger than you ever imagined? Maybe you've been there. A failure that felt like the end, a loss that dropped you to your knees, a moment when you whispered, I will never get back up from this. We often see pain as punishment, as if life itself is against us. But the Stoic philosophers, men who lived over 2,000 years ago, saw it differently. They believed wounds are not enemies. They are teachers. Marcus Aurelius, Rome's emperor, a man who endured losses most of us could never fathom, once wrote, the mind that pursues what is good, whether it achieves it or not, is honored by the pursuit itself. He wasn't writing to impress. He wrote in the dark while his heart was bleeding. And in that pain, he reminded himself, dignity isn't in the outcome. It's in choosing what's right, even when you fail. Do you see, strength isn't never falling. Real strength is rising after every fall. Think back. How many times did you believe you couldn't go on, and yet you did? How many times did you think you were finished, and yet here you are listening to these words right now? That alone is living proof you are stronger than you once believed. The Stoics compared hardship to fire. A raw piece of iron never becomes a sword without flame and hammer. And a human being never truly matures without trial and struggle. Would you agree that your deepest lessons never came from joy but from pain? Epictetus, once a slave beaten until his leg was broken, found a freedom no one could ever take away. He said, "It's not what happens to you that matters, but how you respond to it." If a man stripped of freedom, stripped of even his body, could still discover unshakable strength, so can you. You too carry a power that no circumstance can touch. So here's the question for you. Will you let pain define you as a victim, or will you see it as a teacher, training you into a stronger, steadier version of yourself? Will you let failure make you bitter, or will you let it open your heart to understand others more deeply? When we survive hardship, we prove something. We prove we are more resilient than we thought. We learn that strength isn't found in avoiding adversity, but in transforming it into the foundation of our growth. And if today you feel caught in a cold winter, remember this. A tree stripped bare is not dead. It is gathering life beneath the surface, preparing for spring. So are you. Your trials are not here to destroy you. They are here to prepare you for a new strength waiting to rise. The message is clear. Your wounds are teachers, not sentences. Your pain does not prove weakness. It proves you are alive, still learning, still becoming. So right now, place your hand over your heart and repeat after me. My pain is my teacher. My hardship is proof of my strength. Have you noticed? We're living in a culture that teaches us to avoid pain. Tired, turn on the TV. Sad, scroll your screen. Empty. Add something new to your cart. We'll do anything to avoid sitting still, face to face with ourselves. But here's the real question. What do we lose when we keep running away? Picture this. You're in a dark room. Instead of switching on the light, you cover your eyes, block your ears, build walls to keep out the fear. But the darkness is still there. Only when you dare to reach for the switch does the light come flooding in. Pain works the same way. Avoidance doesn't dissolve it. Only when you face it do you realize the darkness isn't destroying you. It's shaping you. The Stoics knew this well. They didn't have screens to escape into. They didn't have hundreds of shows to drown their grief. All they had was raw reality. And in that rawness, they found strength. Marcus Aurelius, a father who buried his children, an emperor who watched his empire shake, still wrote, "Accept whatever fate has woven for you." Epictetus, a slave beaten until his leg was broken, still said, "It's not what happens to you that matters, but how you respond to it." Seneca, exiled, finally forced to take his own life, still left behind letters filled with wisdom. If they in such brutal circumstances could find steadiness, why do we modern people collapse so easily under the weight of passing sadness? Is it because we've grown addicted to shortcuts? Here's the truth. Pain, when we dare to sit with it, becomes the greatest classroom of life. Remember that time your heart shattered and you thought you'd never love again. But from that, you learned to treasure even the smallest moments. Remember that loss that made you believe you had nothing left. But once you came through, you discovered resilience and a deeper compassion than before. The Stoics teach us hardship doesn't weaken us. It reveals strength we never knew we had. Like iron in the forge. Without fire, it's just useless metal. Through hammer and flame, it becomes a blade. We are the same. Adversity is the fire. And if you're brave enough to sit inside that fire, you'll walk out transformed. But here's the problem. Today's world sells us endless ways to forget a pill, a movie, a single click. Yet no pill can heal a soul that runs away. Only facing it, only acceptance. That's what makes us grow. So the question is, do you want to spend your life avoiding, or do you want to face it once and finally taste freedom? Avoidance can give you a moment of peace, but facing it will give you lasting liberation. The message is clear. Modern culture may teach you to run, but ancient wisdom urges you to stay. Pain does not destroy us. It shapes us. It's not a hole in your life. It's the raw material of transformation. So right now, place your hand over your heart and repeat after me, I do not run. I face. I do not collapse. I transform. Have you ever wondered, what if pain isn't a crack in your life, but a doorway? A doorway to strength you never knew you had. We're taught to believe hardship means something's wrong, that it's proof we're weak. But what if that's a lie? What if struggle isn't here to remove you, but to reveal you? Picture this. A piece of raw steel lying in a workshop. No shape, no purpose. But when it's placed in the fire, when it takes the hammer's blow, it becomes a blade. Without the fire, it stays useless metal. Without the hammer, it never fulfills its purpose. We're the same. Hardship doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to forge you into a stronger, sharper, truer version of yourself. But in today's world, we're trained to dodge pain. Feeling sad. Scroll. Feeling empty. Buy something new. Feeling afraid. Find any way to forget. Yet here's the truth. The more you avoid pain, the tighter it clings to you. It doesn't disappear. It waits until you're brave enough to sit with it. The Stoics understood this long ago. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who buried children, who endured betrayal, who watched his empire shake, wrote, "The mind that pursues the good, whether it achieves it or not, is honored by the pursuit itself." He didn't write those words to impress anyone. He wrote them in the dark, when his own heart was breaking, to remind himself that even in loss there is dignity in rising and in choosing what is right. Epictetus, a slave, chained, beaten, crippled, taught, "It's not what happens to you that matters. It's how you respond." That wisdom didn't come from a man in comfort. It came from a life scarred by lashes and suffering. And yet, from that darkness, he found freedom. So the question is yours. When pain comes, will you let it close your heart? Or will you let it open you wider? Will you let it harden you into bitterness or soften you into compassion? Think back to a time you thought you wouldn't make it. A loss, a heartbreak, a collapse. You thought it was the end. And yet here you are. You survived. That alone is proof you are stronger than you think. Hardship isn't a flaw to erase. It is the path itself, the path to love, the path to wisdom, the path to resilience. Like winter trees bare cold, seemingly lifeless. But beneath the bark sap gathers quietly, preparing for spring. So it is with you. Your winters are not endings, they are beginnings. The message is clear. You don't need to run from pain. You need to face it. Because pain isn't here to break you. It's here to open you, to shape you into someone deeper, kinder, stronger. So right now, place your hand over your heart. Take a deep breath and repeat with me, "My pain is becoming my strength." Lesson 1. The treasure. Hidden in your worst day. Do you remember the worst day of your life? The day everything collapsed at once. A phone call you didn't expect. A text that cut like a knife. A moment where your entire world shattered. You sat in your car, hands trembling. Or you lay on your bed staring at the ceiling, tears streaming endlessly. And you whispered to yourself, "Why me? Why is this happening?" We've all had a day like that. A day that tears illusions apart. A day that strips away everything we thought we needed just to survive. And in that moment, we believe we've lost it all. But what if that very day was the birth of the strongest version of you? I still remember my day. That morning felt ordinary. But by nightfall, everything I trusted, everything I built, my relationship, my work, my future crumbled like a sandcastle struck by waves. I sat alone in my car, sobbing like a child. Not soft tears, but guttural sobs that shook my body as if my soul was being wrung dry. And in that moment, I thought, it's over. I have nothing left. But then another question broke through. Not why did this happen to me, but what is this trying to teach me? And everything shifted. I was no longer the victim. I became the student. I began to learn from my pain. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who once lived as a slave, said, "It's not what happens to you that matters, but how you respond." He didn't write that from comfort. He wrote it after chains, after his body had been broken. If he could find inner freedom in shackles, then you and I can find strength in our failures. Your worst day rips away the masks. It takes the things you thought you couldn't live without, and it leaves only this: you are still here. You are still breathing. You are still alive. And in that rawness, you begin to see your real strength. Think about the people you admire most: artists, leaders, teachers, maybe even your parents. They didn't become great through easy lives. Each of them had a worse day, a day that redefined everything. And from that day, they chose to rise. You can too. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Accept whatever comes to you, woven in the pattern of your destiny." What does that mean? It means that even in loss, there is meaning. Even in pain, there is a lesson. Even in collapse, there is treasure hidden. So here's the truth. Suffering is not a curse. It is a teacher. It is the fire of the forge. It transforms you from raw metal into a blade. Your worst day may be the birth of your strongest self. And right now, I want you to place your hand on your heart. Close your eyes and repeat after me. My worst day revealed my best self. Lesson 2. The hidden power of feeling deeply. Have you ever been told you're too sensitive, that you overthink, that you cry too easily, that you feel everything too much? Maybe they said it as a judgment or as a joke, and over time you believed your sensitivity was a flaw. But let me ask you this. What if the thing you call a weakness is actually your greatest strength? We live in a culture that praises cool detachment. We're taught that being strong means never letting feelings lead. But the truth, feeling is what makes us human. Marcus Aurelius, a warrior, an emperor, a Stoic, wrote in his private journal about nights of aching loss. He didn't deny his emotions. He wrote to face them, to understand them, to move through them. Stoics are often misunderstood as emotionless. They weren't. They were deep. They didn't run from feelings, they learned to hold them without being drowned by them. That's a big difference between feeling deeply and being controlled by emotion. You might cry at a sunset. You might tremble at an old song. You might hurt when someone else is hurting. that doesn't make you weak. It proves your heart is alive. It proves it's still open. Seneca wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." He didn't write that from a numb place. He wrote it with a grieving heart. And because he dared to feel, his words still echo 2,000 years later. Sensitivity is a bridge. It connects you to others, to life, to yourself. Think about the time you walked into a room and knew something was wrong before anyone said a word. That's not vague. That's intuition. Think about the smile you saw and the sadness you sensed beneath it. That's not imagination. That's empathy. Your sensitivity lets you see the invisible, hear the unspoken, feel what the world has forgotten. In a world crowded with indifference, we need people who dare to feel. We need the ones who place a hand on a friend's shoulder and say, "I'm with you." We need the ones who cry at a song, a scene, a story that isn't theirs because they keep our shared humanity alive. Yes, sensitivity can make life hurt more. You'll bruise easier. You'll feel bigger. But ask yourself, do you really want a life without feeling, a heart of iron, unable to love, to ache, to be moved? Or do you want a heart that opens, that risks, that loves, and therefore truly lives? Strength isn't being numb. Strength is feeling it all, and still choosing to act with kindness. Still choosing to love when cynicism is easier. Still choosing to trust when you have every reason to shut down. Still choosing to continue when quitting would be simpler. So don't apologize for your sensitivity. Don't hide your tears. Don't smother your tremble. Your sensitivity isn't a burden. It's a gift. It's power. It's a wisdom no book can teach. And this world full of invisible walls needs you. It needs your sensitive, living heart. Remember this. My sensitivity is my strength, not my weakness. Say it again until it becomes the reminder you carry every day. Lesson 3. Losing everything can lead you back to yourself. Have you ever felt like you lost it all? A job you poured your heart into, a relationship you thought would last a lifetime, or worse, an image of yourself you had carefully built, suddenly gone. You sit there in an empty room and whisper, "What do I have left?" We often see loss as punishment, as if life has turned against us. But Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who buried his children, who watched his empire tremble, who faced betrayal and heartbreak, once wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." He didn't write those words in peace. He wrote them with a heavy heart, reminding himself and us that loss doesn't destroy, it reshapes. You see, when you lose everything you once clung to, it feels like free fall. But the truth, you've hit bottom. And bottom, it turns out, is the most solid foundation to rebuild from. I remember standing in an empty apartment once, surrounded by boxes, the job gone, the person I loved gone, the future I thought was secure shattered like glass. I thought it was the end. But in that emptiness, I realized something. Everything I had lost never truly defined me. Not the title, not the marriage status, not the 5-year plan. When all of that was stripped away, what remained was my truest self. Picture a tree in winter, bare, cold. From a distance, it looks dead. But beneath the bark, life is gathering. Sap is rising. Spring is being prepared. We are no different. The winter of loss doesn't kill you. It concentrates your strength. It prepares you for a return you cannot yet imagine. Loss may take away names, possessions, identities you thought you needed. But it also peels away the false self, the masks, the roles you clung to for too long. It returns you to the truth. You are not your job. You are not someone else's opinion. You are not what you own. You are you, even when everything else is gone. Epictetus, once a slave, once broken in body, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." He didn't write from a palace. He wrote from chains. And in his greatest losses, he found the one freedom no one could take, the freedom to define himself. Maybe right now, you're in the winter of your life. You feel bare, alone, empty. But remember this: winter isn't death. It's preparation. And the bottom isn't the end. It's the beginning. Losing everything isn't punishment. It's liberation. Liberation from what no longer fits. Liberation from false identities. Liberation from expectations that were never yours to carry. So when spring comes, and it will, you'll see yourself grown, deeper, wiser, freer. So if today you stand in the middle of loss, take a deep breath and remind yourself, loss does not destroy me. It brings me back to myself. Let those words be the lantern you carry through the long night. Because sometimes losing everything is the very first time you truly find yourself. Lesson 4. The hidden gift in broken dreams. Have you ever held on tight to a dream believing it was everything, only to watch it shatter right in your hands? Maybe it was a job you gave your youth to, a love you thought would walk with you to the end, a project, a vision planned down to every detail, and then suddenly gone. You sit there in the ruins asking yourself, does this mean I failed? Failure. That's the label the world loves to stamp on you. But Epictetus once reminded us, do not seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish for events to happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly. It's not surrender. It's an invitation to see beyond the door that just closed and realize maybe another one is quietly opening. Picture a river. It meets a giant rock in its path. It doesn't dry up. It doesn't rage against fate. It bends. It flows around. And in that bend, beauty is born. The most stunning curves of the river come from its obstacles. Our lives are no different. Broken dreams don't drain us. They force us to bend, to find a new flow, a flow that might be more beautiful than the old path. I think of a friend of mine. He poured years into a startup, sacrificed health, love, joy, and then the company collapsed. At first, he thought his life was over. But a few years later, the skills, the resilience, the lessons from that failure became the foundation of a new career, one that was steadier, truer, and filled him with a happiness he had never known. The old dream shattered, but it became the ground on which a new one was built. Failure isn't waste. It's preparation. It teaches patience. It teaches flexibility. It teaches you to release the illusion of control and trust the unfolding. Most of all, it reminds you your value doesn't come from whether a dream succeeds or fails. Your value comes from who you became along the way. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And it's true. When we fight the breaking, we prolong the pain. But when we accept it, we set ourselves free. Not as losers, but as people reborn. So let me ask you, which dreams in your life have broken? Do you still hold them with regret, as if you lost part of your soul? But what if the truth is this? They never really disappeared. They've been preparing you in silence for a future far better than you imagined. Go back to the river. If it never met a rock, it would be straight, ordinary, forgettable. But because of its bends, it becomes a masterpiece of nature. Maybe your broken dream today is the bend that will turn your life into something breathtaking tomorrow. The message is clear. A broken dream is not failure. It's redirection. It's life's hand gently placing you on a truer path. A path more aligned with who you really are. So right now, place your hand on your heart and repeat after me, my broken dreams are becoming better dreams. Hold on to that truth, because no loss is meaningless. Every dream that shatters may just be a hidden gift. Lesson 5. The sacredness in our hardest battles. Have you ever wondered why the hardest battles in your life leave the deepest marks? Why the memories of nights you thought you couldn't survive are the very things that make you stronger today? We're taught to see hardship as a mistake, as if life itself broke down somewhere. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if these trials are the most sacred part of being human? The Stoics had a word for it. Amor fati, love your fate. Not just accept it, not just endure it, but love it. All of it. The pain, the loss, the battles you thought would destroy you. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Love the hand that fate deals you. Nothing is better suited to your nature." He didn't write that from a stable throne. He wrote it after burying his children, after watching his empire shake, after being betrayed by those closest to him. If even an emperor could learn to love his cruel fate, then maybe you and I can also find the sacredness hidden in suffering. Modern culture tells us pain must be erased. Take a pill, binge a show, buy something new, anything to forget. But think about it. Has anyone ever become truly great without walking through nights of despair? The artists who gave us timeless works, the leaders who lifted whole communities, the teachers, the healers, they all share one truth: they endured. And their suffering became their certificate, not their weakness. You cannot guide someone out of the dark if you have never walked through it yourself. You cannot touch a broken heart if you've never held the pieces of your own. You cannot inspire perseverance if you've never had a day you almost gave up. This is where the sacredness lives. Suffering gives you a choice. It can harden you, or it can awaken you. It can close your heart, or it can open it wider than ever before. It can make you bitter, or it can make you deeply compassionate. The meaning isn't in the pain itself. The meaning is in the decision you make with it. Picture a clay pot in the kiln. The fire might crack it, but that same fire is what makes it strong, useful, lasting. Your trials are not the flames meant to destroy you. They are the flames that shape you into something steadier, truer, unshakable. So here's today's truth. Hardship is not a mistake. It is an essential, even sacred part of life. Your hardest battles do not take away your worth. They give you depth. They teach you empathy. They carve you into a person that comfort never could. Life is short. Don't waste it running from pain. Let it teach you. Let it open you. Let it transform you. And right now, place your hand on your heart and repeat after me. My suffering is a certificate, not a weakness. My hardships are my teachers, not my sentence. Carry these words with you, because if you believe them, then every battle you face has meaning. Every hardship is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more extraordinary than you ever imagined. Lesson 6. The courage to begin again. Have you ever looked around your life and realized this is no longer where you belong? A steady job, a long-term relationship, an admirable image of stability. But deep inside, you know this isn't you anymore. And a question rises, whispering in your chest. Do I have the courage to start over from the very beginning? One more time. We often think starting over is for our 20s. But the truth, it can happen at 30, at 40, at 60. At any age, you can wake up one morning and realize the old road has expired. And when that happens, another door begins to open. But to walk through it, you need just one thing: courage. I remember the story of a woman. She was a lawyer, 6-figure salary, prestigious office, admired reputation. But every morning as she stepped into that glass building, she felt further and further from herself. Her joy had run dry. One day she chose to walk away. She left the money. She left the status. She chose to become a teacher. To many, it looked insane. But when she stood in that classroom and saw the spark in her students' eyes, she knew, this is home. This is my real life. Starting over is not quitting. It is evolving. You don't erase your past. You carry every lesson, every scar, every victory, and build a higher floor of your life. Like building a house, the old foundation doesn't disappear. It supports the new structure. So why do we fear beginning again? Because of opinions. Because of eyes watching. Because of that small voice inside that whispers, what will they think? But true courage isn't about fighting the crowd. It's about trusting yourself more than you trust their voices. The Stoics believed your life does not belong to public opinion. It belongs to you. Seneca once wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it." He wasn't talking about years. He was talking about living true, living real, living as yourself, not as a role society assigned you. The greatest danger in life is not failure. The greatest danger is waking up at the end of your days, looking back and whispering, I never dared to live as myself. Imagine that moment. Isn't it far scarier than any failure? You and I both know starting again is never easy. It means letting go. It means facing emptiness. It means stepping into the unknown. But remember, the greatest roads are rarely drawn on maps. They are carved by footsteps, one at a time. So today's truth is this: beginning again is not weakness. It is courage. Courage to release what no longer fits. Courage to believe you deserve a life that feels real. Courage to live as yourself, not as a mask. Life is short. Time will not wait. If you feel that call inside your chest, don't wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. The only thing real is this moment and your courage to act now. So place your hand on your heart and repeat with me, I am not quitting. I am evolving. I have the courage to begin again. Hold this affirmation close, because if you believe it, you'll see a new beginning is not a risk. It is an opportunity. An opportunity at last to live as the person you were always meant to be. Lesson 7. The light in the cracks. Have you ever felt yourself breaking, a relationship falling apart, a dream shattering, a part of you collapsing, whispering, I'm broken, I'm no longer whole? But what if the truth is the opposite? What if those cracks aren't the end, but the very places where light comes in? We grow up in a culture obsessed with perfection. Social media flooded with flawless smiles, polished photos, spotless success stories. So when we break, we assume we're less. We patch, we hide, we cover as if our cracks are stains. But the Stoics would tell you the opposite is true. It's in breaking that we reveal our essence. The mask falls, the armor drops, What remains is authenticity. Imagine a Japanese bowl in the art of kintsugi. When it breaks, they don't hide the cracks. They repair them with gold. And the result, the bowl once broken becomes unique, more valuable, more beautiful. So it is with us. The cracks don't ruin you. They make you one of a kind. Have you ever met someone who's lived through deep loss? There's something in their eyes, gentle, listening, calm. They know how to hold your hand in pain because they've once held their own trembling hand. Those who've been broken often love the deepest. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Love your fate, amor fati." He wasn't only talking about victories, he was speaking of wounds. Because wounds teach what comfort never can: compassion, kindness, the ability to see beauty in the smallest things. Your failures don't lessen your worth. They strip away the false layers. They take the hollow pride and return to you a true heart. And a heart that's been broken often forgives more, loves deeper, and sees light where others only see darkness. The Stoics remind us pain is not the enemy. It is the fire that tempers gold. It is the crack where light enters. It is proof that you're still alive, still feeling, still learning. So instead of asking, "Why am I broken?" ask what light is entering through this crack. Today's message is clear. Don't see your cracks as failures. See them as doors. Doors to more truth, more compassion, more radiance. Life is short. Don't waste it pretending to be unbroken. Be brave enough to let the light in right through the places you thought were ruined. Now place your hand on your heart and repeat with me, "Every crack in me is a doorway for the light to enter." Carry this affirmation like a talisman, so that every time you see a scar in your heart, you'll know it's not proof of destruction, but proof of light shining from within. Lesson 8. The power of small perseverance. Have you ever felt like you're not making any progress at all? You look at your biggest dream and it feels so far away you almost lose hope. You wonder, do these tiny things I do every day even matter? But what if I told you? It's those invisible steps, the ones nobody sees, that quietly change your entire life. We admire the big moments, the dramatic comebacks, the overnight success, the sudden breakthrough. But here's the truth. Most people don't want to hear. There is no overnight miracle. Life is built step by step, small and steady, over and over again. The Stoics reminded us we can't control the final outcome, but we can control today's effort. You can't guarantee a grand victory, but you can guarantee that today you'll take one more step forward. Think about climbing a mountain. At the bottom, the summit looks impossible. But if you lower your gaze and focus on one step, then another, and another, one day you'll look back and realize you've gone farther than you ever imagined. It's the small steps, not the giant leaps, that carry you to the top. I once knew a friend who wanted to change his health. He didn't start with extreme workouts or strict diets. He simply walked for 10 minutes a day. It seemed so small, almost meaningless. But 10 minutes became 20, 20 became 40. And a year later, he ran his first marathon. Not because of one magical day, but because of hundreds of consistent days. Perseverance is like a quiet fire. It doesn't roar with sparks to impress. It doesn't make headlines overnight, but it keeps you warm through the long night. And when the dawn comes, you realize you've survived an entire winter. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not waste the remainder of your life in speculation. Concentrate your thoughts on the present moment as if it were your last. He wasn't talking about grand achievements. He was talking about today, this step, this choice, this moment. Because it's the small, steady choices that build a strong life. Maybe you're in that season where results haven't shown yet. You're writing daily, but the book isn't finished. You're training regularly, but the body hasn't changed. You're working hard, but the payoff hasn't arrived. Don't give up. You don't plant seeds today to harvest tomorrow. You plant them so that one day when you least expect it, the whole garden will bloom. So the message today is clear. You don't need one big push to change your life. You need perseverance in small steps, even when no one notices, even when you doubt yourself. Life is short. Don't wait for the perfect day to begin. Start today with one step. Now place your hand on your heart and repeat with me. Every small step I take today is proof of the great strength I will have tomorrow. Let this affirmation be the quiet fire in your chest. Steady, patient, relentless, strong enough to carry you through the night. Until the light of dawn finally breaks. Lesson 9. Joy in the simple things. Have you noticed? The smallest moments often bring the deepest joy. A quiet morning sunlight spilling through the window. A loved one's smile after a long day. Or simply taking a deep breath and knowing I'm still here. We chase the big things. A bigger house, a higher title, a louder victory. But maybe real happiness hides in the ordinary. After loss, after upheaval, many of us finally see the truth. Happiness isn't a far-off peak. It's the road beneath your feet. It lives in the little moments you usually overlook. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself in your way of thinking." He didn't write that from a cushioned palace. He wrote it while holding up a shaking empire. He reminded himself and us that joy doesn't depend on circumstances. It depends on how we meet the present. Picture a cup of water. To someone who's been truly thirsty, that cup is treasure. In the same way, after loss, we learn to cherish the small things. A simple meal, an afternoon in the sun, a sincere hug. Those ordinary things become a steady foundation. So, when the storm hits, you don't collapse, because you've found your footing in simplicity. I remember a friend who lost almost everything: her job, her relationship, her faith in the future. What kept her standing wasn't a new win. It was simple joys, a hot cup of tea, a talk with her mom, one more sunset. Those didn't fix everything, but they kept her from sinking. And slowly, piece by piece, she rebuilt a life. The Stoics teach when your heart can be content with less, you never feel poor. That's not resignation. That's freedom. Freedom from comparison. Freedom from the spiral of more, more, more. Ask yourself, if you can't find joy in a quiet morning, will you really find it in a castle? Today's message is clear. Joy isn't found in excess. True joy lives in your ability to honor the ordinary. It isn't a small joy. It's real wealth, a treasure no one can take. Life is short. Don't wait for a grand victory to allow yourself to be happy. Start now, with what you have right in front of you. Close your eyes. Place your hand on your heart. Repeat with me. Simple joy is my true wealth. Let this be your daily reminder. So when life backs you into a dark corner, you still have a small light, your power to find happiness in the simple things. Have you ever asked yourself, am I a victim of fate? Maybe you've thought that. When loss hit like a storm, when the long nights wouldn't stop your tears, when everything you trusted vanished like smoke. In those moments, it's easy to believe life is against you. But what if the truth is different? What if what you're going through isn't punishment, but a lesson? The Stoics remind us we are not victims. We are students of life. Every trial, every setback, every wound is part of the curriculum designed to shape us. The question is no longer, why is this happening to me? The real question is, what am I meant to learn from it? Epictetus once said, "Each of us is an actor in the play life has written. We don't choose the role, but we choose how to perform it." You may be handed the role of someone who's lost, someone who had to begin again, someone who's fallen more than once, but only you decide how to walk onto the stage, with bitterness or with courage, with eyes shut tight or with a heart wide open. That is true freedom, a freedom no one can take from you. Look back on your life, the days you thought you wouldn't survive, and yet you did. The nights you felt shattered, but by morning you were still breathing, still rising. That wasn't failure. That was proof. Proof you are stronger, deeper, more resilient than you once believed. And your tears, they are not weakness. They are recognition. They show you've lived deeply enough to love, to hurt, to lose. Picture a piece of steel in the fire. The flames and the hammer don't destroy it. They forge it into a blade. It's the same with you. Suffering doesn't break you. It shapes you. It opens you into a version of yourself that is wiser, kinder, stronger. So the message today is clear. You are not breaking. You are opening. Every trial is a lesson. Every loss is a doorway. Every tear is proof of growth, never of weakness. Life is short. Don't waste it resenting the role you've been given. Live it with dignity, with courage, with all your heart. And now, I want you to place your hand on your chest. Repeat after me as a vow to yourself, I am not breaking. I am opening. Hold this affirmation close, because when you believe it, you'll see no hardship is meaningless. It is all leading you toward the person you were born to become.